I think my AC's finally fixed, but it was, I'd say, one disaster after another. It was oftentimes multiple disasters after another. The AC stopped working. That was the first problem. The compressor had seized up, which was going to break the belt if I didn't replace it. Almost every step of this, I have to order parts and wait for them to come in. After getting the compressor, there's a bolt I couldn't get access to because it's too close to the frame of the car. After 5 days of trying to find the right tool to do that, and I figured out how to do something completely different, replaced the compressor to find out that it had experienced Black Death, meaning I needed to replace all the other parts. Order all those, clean up what I can, replace all the parts. Then I learned about PAG oil, something you can't just go to Walmart and buy. Get that where it needs to be. And then once the whole system was finally put together, I had to decide whether to try to loan or purchase the manifold gauge and vacuum pump. I loaned them from local parts stores. First night, the pump that they loaned to me wouldn't work. It didn't have enough oil, and they didn't have any more oil. And it was the end of the night. So I had to wait the next day, go to another store, get the oil. Got that going. The manifold gauges were leaky. I went to their other store, swapped those out. The other set was leaky. At the end of that day, I went back to the first store and I was like, hey, the other store had a crap set too. And he said he would order me a new set. And I'm thinking, like, new in box, brand new. There's no issue. There could be no problem. The next morning, I go in there and it was just a set from another shop in another town that was worse off than the ones they already had. So I went and bought a cheap pair of manifold gauges. Did the vacuum, ran everything how you're supposed to according to spec, and got it filled up with refrigerant, but the compressor wouldn't kick on, which made filling it with refrigerant take way longer. I wasn't even sure how to troubleshoot that at the time, but I had the manifold gauges and the vacuum pump. I had to return this shit, so I had to button things up. But I went and bought the manifold gauge that I kept. So I kept that attached to my car while I was trying to troubleshoot why the compressor wasn't turning on. So I was literally driving with the manifold gauge hoses coming from under the hood of the car into my passenger window and hanging by the handle of the passenger door. I don't know how many days went by like that, where the compressor just wouldn't kick on, and I was troubleshooting all the wiring. I had like stripped wiring to check and make sure it's all connected right, and I had to replace all the shielding for it. Finally, found that the compressor fan wasn't kicking on because of a fuse, and that fuse prevents everything ahead of it from turning on too. So I got that. It clicked on, but at that point, I was low on fluid. I didn't know that there was a leak. I take out the manifold gauges and I found the leak. The high pressure, or the low pressure side, the side that you usually would, the side that you fill up, um, its valve wasn't just like leaking, like just spewing out a little bit. It was shooting out. The valve was completely open. I had to like take something and stick in there to get it popped back up, and it was still leaking, but it wasn't completely open. Well, that had drained the system so much of the refrigerant that I had to go and loan or rent or whatever a vacuum again. I was able to replace that valve easily because it was empty. The valve set that said it's made for my type of vehicle and everything, it had the wrong kind of valves. One for the high side and low side, but mine takes one of each, a big valve and a small valve. There's no set like that, so I had to buy a individual valve that cost more than the whole set, but I did. And I got everything put back in it, the refrigerator put back in it and all that shit. Got the compressor to run, and at that point is when I thought that I was done. I was ready to make a video about the whole thing and be like, oh my god, this is so much work, but I finally got it done. The high pressure side, the side that you usually don't mess with, but you do have to hook up with the manifold gauges, it was leaking. And that's kind of my fault. Once I replaced one of the valves, I should have replaced the other, but I didn't. So at that point, I'm again under pressure, and I noticed it leaking, and I ordered a kit that you can actually change the valve out while it's under pressure. I got the wrong kit. It was made for like a home AC unit, not a car AC unit. So I had to order the correct one and wait for that to come in. And by that time, of course, enough had been leaking that I had to go buy another can of refrigerant and nurse it along until I got that part. And then I replaced the valve. I had to buy another can at that point, filled it up, hopefully the spec. At this point, I was weighing the refrigerant when I was first installing it. At this point, I've got no fucking clue. But according to the manifold gauges, it's correct pressure. I can see it through the little view window, all that, and it is running cold while I'm in direct sunlight right now. So I, knock on wood, I think this battle is finally commencing. It could have been worse.